Hello ladies and gentlemen, An Idiot Imports is sponsored by PlayAsia, and this copy of the game you're about to see probably came from them as part of their sponsorship deal, unless I very specifically say it didn't in the video. If you want to support this series, use the link in the description to go to PlayAsia and buy an item or two. It'll help me out and increase the budget I get for import games. You can also use the coupon code BLUEVITA at checkout to save a bit of money, but it won't count towards my sales if you don't use that link. Either way, thanks for your support and enjoy the show. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Yuki Yuna is a Hero, Memory of the Forest. Yes, it's one of those bloody anime games again, but, well, when I did my original poll saying, hey, how do you want me to clear out my backlog of import games, the anime ones have shot right up to the top, so we're doing them first. Not really that much to see for this one, honestly. I've only been playing it for about 2 hours and I've got everything I need to know, so there's not actually that much to see out here in this menu here, so what we're going to do is we're just going to hop into the first menu, and then let's just pick one of our 5 characters. Now, just FYI, I have never seen the show, so I have no freaking idea what's going on. For the most part, anyway. I'm aware that this game is actually an original story and isn't like a retelling of the series, but it's just worth noting that, yeah, haven't seen it, don't know what's going on, so I don't think there's anywhere better to start than little Miss Yuki Yuna here, and I just actually heard her voice, so that's how I know it's her, other than the fact that she's front and center. We have a few menus here, but I won't waste your time going through them just yet. We're just going to go play a story mission immediately. I'm up to story mission 3 on her, we'll get to that. You have 4 different difficulties you can pick. There's easy, normal, hard, and very hard. They're actually something different, but that's the general idea. We're just going to play on normal, because if you don't play on normal, all the enemies just turn into bloody sponges. There's a lot of cutscenes. They're visual novel style cutscenes with tons of voice acting, and one's about to start right here, so I'm just going to shut up for a bit and let you listen.
お酒じゃないんだから。それはそうと、今後の対策を考える必要がありますね。壁って今も枯れ続けてるんだよね。あんたたちこんなところでそんなこと話したら。大丈夫だよ。みんなうどん食べるのに夢中だもん。 このまま壁が全部枯れちゃったらバーテックスが一気に攻めてきたりするのかな。全部枯れたらそうなるでしょうね。でも今はまだ耐えている。壁が崩れ始めた原因は分かったんですか。もしかしてそれは大社にも分からないって。 現在調査中の一点張りよ。それにあの女の子一人ぼっちで樹海に迷い込んだのかも。だったら早く助けてあげないと。お姉ちゃん。おいこら犬先輩。変な略し方するんじゃない。大事な話なのに一人でひたすらうどん食べてるからでしょ。うどん食べながらの方が考えがまとまりやすいのよ。少し肺に入った。それで考えはまとまりましたか。東郷はきついな。 ごめんなさい東郷先輩。お姉ちゃんはきっとうどんを食べ続けて場の空気を和まそうと。現状は謎だらけだけど、女の子をこのまま放っておくわけにはいかない。そうですよね。今後の戦闘でまたあの子が現れたら保護しましょう。何か知っているのかもしれないし。もしかして 彼女も勇者なのかしら。私は聞いてないわよ。大社からはあんたたちの情報しか。 それも会って直接聞いてみるしかなさそうですね。任せておきなさい。私の尋問で吐かなかったやつはいないわ。
そりゃ尋問したことないからでしょ。
そんな怖そうなのじゃなくて、ここで美味しいうどんを食べながらでいいと思うよ。
そうね、そうと決まればもう一杯。
あら、早速おいでなすったわね。お姉ちゃん、うどんは後だよ。
わかってるわよ。それじゃ勇者部出撃。
了解。
Oh, I was just about to stop and skip to the end of it there. Someone was probably paying attention that actually knows Japanese and thought, oh, that's the end of the cutscene. There's a little bit more once you actually get into the fights, but other than that, it's not particularly, you know, heavy on this stuff, and you can skip it just by pressing the start button, because thank God. Although, it's not that bad. It's not bad at all, really. Just as everyone who's been watching this channel for anything more than a few seconds should know, I do not know Japanese, so I can't understand a damn word of what's going on, so I tend to rate these games based on their gameplay and what I think of the gameplay. So let's get on to the gameplay since we're actually doing the gameplay now. That would probably be a good idea. Talking about gameplay in a video that's called gameplay. Let's do that. So Yuki Yuna is a hero, Memory of the Forest. I'm just going to call it Memory of the Forest from now on, because that'll be an absolute ton easier. Memory of the Forest is a Dynasty Warriors style beat 'em up. You've got a light attack and a heavy attack, a Musu attack that charges up down the bottom in the meter there. You have the ability to dodge, block, and if you block at the right time, you'll get extra super meter, and you can press and hold the L button to do a lock on. You have pickups you can get, and that's pretty much it. I'm serious. Like, your attack chains are extremely simple. You have a square combo, which goes up to about 5, I think. I'm going in the wrong direction. You have a square combo that goes up to about 5, and you have a triangle attack that you can throw out at any point during the combo for a strong attack of some kind. And that's it. No, that is it. That's really it. It's really not that deep. I mean, I've literally just told you everything there is to know about the game's combat. Oh, also you can run around. To do that, you just have to double tap a direction while you're moving. But yeah, that's literally it. That's all you get. You get a couple of attacks, you get a Musu attack, and that is all you get. The game does have leveling, but the leveling just happens in the background and it just gives you stat boosts. That's all it gives you. Actually, no, that's a lie. It gives you more accessory slots, but we'll get onto what accessories are once we've actually finished this level. And I'm running around like a fucking speed demon because I picked up the wrong type of flower. A little bit of auditory communication there. These levels are surprisingly hard to navigate, although they're preset levels. You have to play through these every single time with every single character. We'll get onto that shit shortly. The actual combat, though, for most of the characters in the game, there's one character this really doesn't apply to, but even then it's a little bit iffy. The actual combat is really stiff. It's kind of hard to move around, and getting an aim on a character without using the lock-on is almost impossible. I mean, like, imagine you're playing Dynasty Warriors and you're trying to aim and attack in a direction like an officer, but you don't have the lock-on turned on. You'll probably be okay, because they give you enough leeway and enough room in order to let you aim properly and actually hit them with a certain amount of error correction. This game doesn't do that, so if it feels really, really easy to slip up and miss an attack because you didn't bother to turn on the lock-on. But you can't actually swap what target you're locked onto using the right analog stick. So swapping between characters to attack them, or enemies to attack them, I should say, is almost bloody impossible because it's just really, really hard to do so for some reason. So you just end up in the situation where if you get surrounded, you can't focus your attack on anyone in particular just because the game's like, oh no, you press to the right analog stick, you're kind of screwed. The camera in this game is actually pretty terrible now that I think about it. Like, this camera's pretty far zoomed in, right? Like, look at it. It's really, really close, and it doesn't give you much view of what you're doing. If it was a little bit higher and a little bit further away, I'd like it a lot more, but it seems a little bit too close for comfort in this case. It's also multiplied by the fact that the camera itself is actually really sensitive, and you can't turn this down in the options menu. Like, I'm just going to get away from the enemies for a bit, because I want to demonstrate this. Also, there's some horrible pop-in. Did you see how far away I had to be from that thing to get it to disappear? Not very far at all, but anyway. That was just a really quick tap of the right analog stick. I'm talking like half a second, not even half a second, like a quarter of a second max, and the camera just flies. It's really hard to adjust your camera, because it just goes all over the flippin' place. Movement is also, despite the fact that you can't move using the D-pad, movement is only 8-directional on an analog stick. You explain that one to me. It makes the game feel even more... what's the word? Stiff. That is seriously the best word I have to describe this game. It's really stiff. It's hard to do anything. It just feels way more not even complex, like way more slowed down and just working against you than it really needs to. Also, did you see that pickup that came out of that crystal that I just smashed? That was a mine. No, I'm not even kidding. They've hidden mines in these bloody crystals for you, and if you walk over them, you just get blown up. They don't hurt very much unless you're on a higher difficulty, but I mean, come on. Freaking mines and something that's meant to drop pickups for you? That's a bit mean. I assume I need those three keys, yeah. Objectives are not particularly over the top. You do have sub-goals that you can do, which will give you bonus rewards, but not much in the way of bonus rewards. You'll understand why when we actually get out of this level and go and have a look at some of the... other characters in the menu systems. But they're really simple. The game goes over everything you need to know in like the first 10 minutes. Seriously, there's a bunch of tutorials that it pops up, but they pop up like 10 tutorials and then they give you nothing because they told you everything you need to know in 10 minutes. So, yeah, the mission types are actually really simple. It's either kill a certain amount of enemies, grab a certain amount of stars, or break a certain amount of crystals. I believe there might be a couple more, but those are the ones that I've come across so far. So this is a story mission. The story missions are relatively simple. You just need to go about your business, find your way through the levels themselves by finding keys or just by getting to the exits. And once you do, you will be presented with the... What direction am I going? I'm going this way. I can just run past these dudes if I want. There's nothing stopping me. Absolutely nothing stopping me, except if I just want to stop and level for a bit. But this combat is just so unimpressive that it just makes me not want to. You do have aerial attacks, but these do vary depending on the characters you're playing. I'll put it that way. Trying to dodge there, but apparently I ran into that bloody crystal thing. I don't even know what these crystal things do. I think they're just like respawners. They take a lot of hits to take down for some reason. Ow. But yeah, as I said, the actual combat, while it is significantly different across all the characters, the actual levels and bosses are, well, for the story missions, actually, to be fair, it'd be for all the missions now that I think about it, but for all the missions, pretty much everything you have to do is exactly the same. Like, I played the first mission, the first story mission with all 5 characters, and it was exactly the same every time except for the sub-goals. And there was one other sub-goal I forgot to mention, and that is don't take a hit, which is actually kind of annoying in this game. But, yeah, it was pretty much exactly the same mission. Same mission, same layout, same enemies, same boss. It was the same mission all the way through, which means to play this game to completion, you would have to play it through the entire set of stages 5 fucking times. I don't know if that's just the story missions, but it seems to be, based purely on a Google translated trophy list. Where am I going? Right, I just gotta keep going down this way. There's 2 purple enemies down there, which means they're gatekeepers. I just gotta take them out and we get to move on. Enemy design is, well, they look neat, but they're really boring. they've got Dynasty Warrior syndrome where sometimes they'll just circle around you, but they won't actually attack. Except for those ranged ones, of course. But yeah, they've got Dynasty Warrior syndrome. You can play the game on harder difficulties to make them do more damage, but it just means you end up taking more damage, and they end up needing to take more damage, and that's never a very pleasant way to play this sort of game. Wow, we're 15 minutes in already, Jesus. Please tell me this is the boss fight. Yep, it's the boss fight, so... Ow. So here's the drill with the bosses. They're a massive pain in the ass to deal with. So, I admit this is the first time I fought this boss, and I've only ever fought 2 others. But the other 2 were so similar to each other that I felt like I didn't really need to play against them anymore. Here's an example of a Musu attack, by the way. Not only does it slow down the Vita screen, but it doesn't actually display the flippin' attack in the level itself. So you end up in this really strange situation where, for whatever reason... Oh, come on. Let me get around it, for God's sake. You end up in this really weird situation where it's like, oh, it doesn't look like you actually did anything. Fuck's sake. Guard. Now it chooses the walkway. I can't bloody see when its attacks are coming in because it's so flippin' huge. The game implies that you want to get up on these bloody, columns to do stuff, right? Like, there's pickups and stuff up here. Well, that's good. Well, turns out you can't actually do too much up here. Most of the characters can't do much up here. There's only one ranged character in the entire game. The rest you have to jump out and try to attack, but you've only got one aerial attack in this game. So the majority of damage you will be doing with your regular attacks is getting up close and personal, which means floating down near them, in range of every attack they've got that you can't see coming, and just getting more and more frustrated the more you go on. It's extremely unreliable to do this though, because as you saw, since the attacks come in so hard and fast, and just seemingly at random... Oh, for fuck's sake, I was trying to block that. Since the attacks seem to come in almost at random, with no discernible pattern whatsoever, except maybe depending on how far away you are, the attacks might change. But there's something else you should do instead, and that's beat the crap out of these dudes. You want to know why you beat the crap out of these dudes? Because for some reason, they give you an absolute ton of Musu power. Like seriously, defeating more than one at once, tons and tons of Musu power. So you beat them up, and they spawn infinitely, by the way, because of course they do. And your general strategy for every boss in this game is to beat them up with the Musu attacks. You fill your meter however the hell you can, and then you just wail on them with Musu attacks. And that's how you win. Because it's too dangerous to go in for the regular attacks. Just way too dangerous. Because as you saw, you just get the shit beaten out of you. That's pretty much how I had to handle the first 2 bosses, and I see no reason to change that strategy for this one. And if that's what the first 3 bosses in this game are going to encourage me to do, what am I to assume about the rest of them? Come here. Throw out a Musu attack. You actually have to be pretty close and not surrounded by enemies, because the Musu attack might lock onto a bunch of the other enemies, but not hit the big dude who's standing right in front of you. It's really weird. But then again, it's really weird that she's just standing there and not actually hitting the enemies. Like, you literally use that in the middle of a stage where there's like 30 enemies surrounding you. You use that, you do that funny little animation despite not actually hitting anything, and then everything around you just dies. It looks weird and is not satisfying in the slightest. It's the exact opposite of Dynasty Warriors Musu attack and its satisfaction. Yeah, I need to let more spawn in, and I need to go up and get them. See, the boss doesn't even seem that interested in me. You do have a combo meter over there, but it's not like it matters. You do have a enemy count meter, but it doesn't like that matters either. You do have you do have ranks, D through S, but again, not like it matters. Let's see if I can demonstrate a just guard. Not actually gonna... Of course, the second I stop blocking is the second they attack me, because they're dicks. And away I go. I'm gonna play missions that are a lot shorter than this one to demonstrate the rest of the combat, but... Yeah... If you couldn't tell, I don't really like this game. I really don't. I'm kind of happy that I managed to get it out of the way so quickly, if you want me to be honest. I'm waiting for bloody, Itadaki Street to come in. Super Mario Odyssey's out at the end of the week. It's... to play this? Like, I should be playing bloody Super Mario 64 or something to get ready for Odyssey, but... here I am playing this instead. Don't waste my bloody time. That should do it. Didn't do it. That should do it. We'll get another, oh no, yeah, I forgot about this. This segment is really weird. I guess this is part of the way the show works, but it just... This just doesn't sit right. This whole entire thing here just doesn't sit right with me, because it just makes no bloody sense. Hello, inverted pyramids! You have to beat the crap out of the inverted pyramids. Why do you have to do this? I don't know! They just run away! Like, I'm... it just... Why? I'm legitimately confused. Like, what's the logic here? Oh, no, hang on. That's the proper one right there. It's just like... It's like the boss has just turned into an inverted triangle and is trying to run away from you. It's so odd. I'm not entirely sure what the point of that is, because they're usually really flippin' easy. Okay, there'll be more anime cutscenes, but I'm gonna skip them. Just in case someone who actually wants to play this game and has enough Japanese to understand what's going on will not get spoiled plot-wise by anything. Alright, so yeah, that was the story mission done. I got a rank. Didn't get any accessories, unfortunately, but I don't think you do get them in, like, any sort of random capacity. But, we're going back to the menu. Oh, it's gonna actually tell, warn me about, yeah, I've seen this tutorial already. Right, so, let's go menu diving, because I don't really have a better time to do it. We go here, I think this is the options menu. Yes, this is the options menu. You got your levels, and you've got your message speed, camera inversion. Not entirely sure what this one here does, actually, but it's not like it matters, and you can rebind all your buttons. Up here, I need to remember what this menu is, but they're pretty easy to tell as soon as you get in. This is the tutorials. Seriously, you get like 10 and then that's it. This one here. This is the gallery. Now, the gallery is a little odd. You have these little events here, and you unlock them via performing specific feats, whether they be complete a certain stage, get a certain amount of things. You get the general idea. And once you collect, complete 5 of them and make a complete line, you'll get a bonus for a specific character or item. Very simple stuff. It's also a bunch of visual novel cutscenes that give you a little bit of slice of life stuff going on. And this is a CG menu, and the one below it is the music menu. Seriously, it's a gallery, just with a couple of neat things. Okay, so this is the accessories menu. This is the only way you power up your character other than leveling up. So, if I go down here, I can select a bunch of other different accessories. And these different accessories are just straight stat boosts. That's all they do. You don't get anything else. So you end up just putting on the ones that you want to increase the stats of, and then that's it. Like, seriously, it's the most simple system you can imagine. It's not that engaging in the slightest. And the only way you find these is by finding them out in the world. By breaking crystals, I believe. That's the only time I think I've ever found them. And they're in the same place every time. Remember what I said about all the levels being the same? The accessory drops to the same place as well. They're just different accessories. So, yeah, really, really basic stuff. Now, what if I told you you had to do that with all 5 characters? All the levels, all the side missions, all the accessories. We're going to go and do some of the side missions now. We're just going to do a couple of the short ones because we've already been here for 25 minutes. But we're going to play as the girl in the wheelchair. Because I think this is absolutely hilarious. As I said, I don't know a thing about Yuki Yuna is a hero. So this is going to be absolutely hilarious if you don't know anything about it either. But this is the side mission menu. You get more side missions as you play through the story mode. However, you have to play through the main story mode as the different characters to unlock the different side missions. So these 3 up here, I unlocked with Yuna. These 3 down here, I unlocked using the girl I am now. And yeah, you get the general idea. You just have to go through the story to get them with all the different characters. And we're going to play this one here because it's like a minute long. These are all different kinds of side missions. Like there's one that's survival, there's one that's collect all the things. You get the general idea. It's nothing too extravagant. Wait for the game to load. Right, so this is... I don't know who this girl's name is, but she's a long-range character. She's got pistols and stuff like that, right? So, the general idea, you just have to beat the crap out of everything. I think this is one of the missions where you're not allowed to take any damage or you lose. But I might be remembering that wrong, so I might just want to avoid taking any damage just for the purpose of demonstration. As you saw, she has all the usual set of attacks, and being ranged in this game is actually a nice benefit, so it's pretty good. However, this comes with one major downside. She can't use her legs. Now, I am not entirely familiar with how magical girl shows work. But I'm pretty sure if you're going to give a girl who's in a wheelchair magical girl powers, you would let her use her fucking legs. The only way to move around when you are with the girl who was previously in the wheelchair is to repeatedly jump, or to hold R and repeatedly dodge dash. I'm not even kidding. Imagine my surprise when I first opened the game with this character and tried to move and found that I couldn't. I thought my analog stick was broken. That was bad. But I mean, good God, it's hilarious, but it's also really mean, because it's actually kind of hard to get out of the way with this girl, because she needs to stand in one spot to do all the shooting, so if you've got people swarming around you, you can't just idly stroll out of the way like you can do with all the other characters. It's really weird. I don't know what they were going for here, but it just makes me laugh that the girl who's in the wheelchair can't walk properly as a magical girl. But yeah, we made it to the end. We get a C rank. Obviously, that was meant to be more of a time trial more than anything else, but my God. My God. Right, let's go back and play as another character, just for the purpose of demonstration. You seriously saw the majority of her attacks right there, unless you really wanted to see her Musu ability, but honestly, can't be asked. Because it's kind of impressive, sure, but they slow down the game for some indiscernible reason. Like, seriously, they're not that complicated to display on screen. I've seen more complex scenes on the Vita not used to... not cause that much of a stutter, but yeah. The actual performance in-game isn't that bad, though, outside of that. So this is a survival mission, also combined with just kill as many dudes as you can within the time limit, more or less. And it does actually maintain a decent amount of enemies on screen at once. It does have a bit of slowdown here, but it's okay. This girl's slightly better about the stiffness of the controls, mainly because she attacks a lot faster and moves a lot quicker. So you end up in a situation where you don't have to worry about that. Here, I'll show this one off. But yeah, see, she's basically attacking nothing. This would be slightly more impressive if I was actually doing it, like, in the actual level. But no. Fade back, everybody dies. And drops a fair few pickups and stuff as well. But yeah. the stiff controls basically apply to everybody. There's no escape from them, and it's really unsatisfying to move around, to try and attack, to do anything in this game, really. It just stinks. It really does just stink. At least it looks okay. I mean, they've done a good job with the models of the characters and all that, and the visual novel scenes are all pleasant enough to look at, but good God, the game itself is just so boring. The combat is slow and, as I've said before, stiff. That is really the best way to describe it. It's hard to immediately change from one direction and move in another. It's hard to do attacks in a good combo without using the lock-on camera constantly. It's hard to work with the lock-on camera. The actual camera that isn't the lock-on camera is completely useless. The characters themselves are surprisingly dull after the first 5 minutes of combat because they don't get any sort of improvement whatsoever outside of some bloody accessories that just give them straight stat buffs. There's nothing going on with the bosses whatsoever to make them even remotely interesting or fun. God forbid we have fun these days. I'm just bored. I'm legitimately just, like, really bored by it. I've played it for 2 hours and I've had my fill. I've had more than enough. I played Fire Emblem Warriors very recently, and I mean, obviously it's kind of unfair to compare this game, which came out in 2014 from a studio that probably had like half or a quarter of the budget, to bloody Fire Emblem Warriors. But Fire Emblem Warriors is a complete reskin of Dynasty Warriors 8, which came out like 3 years ago, so they're on about the same level. And it's just dull. It's really dull. I mean, it's serviceable at absolute best, and you could play this game if you absolutely needed like a 3D hack and slasher, and you've played through literally everything else. It is serviceable at absolute best. But if you have any other kind of game like this that you can play, please, for the love of God, go play that instead. Like, Gundam Breaker 3 is miles ahead of this, despite... Yeah, Gundam Breaker 3 is miles ahead of this, just in general. Dynasty Warriors, miles ahead in general. What other hack and slash games do we have on here? Other than Dynasty Warriors and Gundam Breaker? Well, to be fair, basically any hunting game, Soul Sacrifice, Tukiden, even bloody Ragnarok Odyssey Ace beats this one out. I can't believe I just praised Ragnarok Odyssey Ace. Oh man, I really did not like Ragnarok Odyssey Ace. I actually got the end of the main story in that fucking game, and I still hated it, so I don't know why I even put in the effort. Thank God for Soul Sacrifice. Look, I was only 15 seconds away from finishing anyway, but I don't care. I'm just gonna go straight back to the main menu, which is a weird thing to have in the middle of the mission, but there you go. That was a look at Yuki Yuna is a Hero, Memory of the Forest. And yeah, don't bother. Do not bother. Do not bother. That's pretty much it. I actually got this pre-owned. This wasn't a PlayAsia deal, despite what the beginning of the video said. So it's kind of... The bloody dogs have started going off right in the middle of my outro for some reason. But anyway, just let me talk over the bloody dogs for a second. I got this pre-owned for really cheap, and it actually came in good condition because the Japanese actually take care of their pre-owned games, which is kind of great. I got all the little leaflets inside and everything, but yeah, this game is... Let's not do that. Maybe I'll stand a chance of actually living through the copyright strike. But if I had paid any more for this, I would have felt ripped off. Even for a bloody second-hand game. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't think it's worth your time. Go play anything else. Anything else. So there you go. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.